No, no, yeah, no, 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 yeah, no, no, yeah, yeah, no, no, yeah, no, no, yeah, no,
The show that I have 8 pages of notes on.
Yeah.
I did not get any notes, but I'm pretty
dude,
sure if you say
I
one
don't
thing,
even
I'm
need
gonna have to
notes,
hold
that's
my
it.
tongue so I
Dude,
don't
I
even
was
watch it.
listen to this. I was 2 minutes in to this show, okay? And you'll obviously reveal it here in
And
a
how
second.
long did it take me to convince you to freaking watch it finally?
Like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So two
exactly.
minutes into the show, I'm looking down. I'm in the middle of writing all these notes. I look over at my wife who's sitting there with me. I'm like, I wish I was half as committed to writing notes about the show as I was writing notes in school. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm not kidding. I have 8 full, top to bottom, left
So
to
what
right
you actually
pages.
meant to say then, what you actually meant to say then is you wish you were half as dedicated to school as you were to this show.
Exactly.
With
Yeah,
your
yeah,
notes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
I
just
mean,
wanted to
like
clarify.
I'm like abbreviating like what I meant so that like I'm like I'll know what this means. And then if I kind of have like a flashback moment of me back in like high school, like, I'll just whatever.
Yeah, that was me
I'll
too.
just steal
let's
some kid's notebook.
Let's announce what show it is.
Absolutely,
It
go
is.
ahead.
That's right, we were talking about it without even talking about it.
It's Stranger Things. Woo!
Woo.
That was and once again, Anthony, I have to say the same thing. I was looking at it on net, and it was the first thing. You know, when you open up your Netflix, it's right there. It's saying "Watch Me."
Yep.
It isn't anymore, but it was a second ago. and I kept ignoring it because I saw these kids, and then this mom with her mom haircut, and I'm like, this shit's like some Jumanji slash like. What'd you say earlier? It's like Jumanji slash.
It's like Goonies, yeah.
Goonies, yeah, and I just like I couldn't get pulled into it. I wanted to watch something like either funnier or a little more serious, but I didn't want to watch a kids show. So like when I'm looking at the entrance, I didn't watch it until Anthony said, "No, you have to watch it. You have to watch it." So I started it, and then I swear, like I was too sleepy the first time, so I only watched like an episode and a half, and then the next day I came back and I slept 3 hours that day because I watched the rest of that in one sitting. It was too good. I could not stop.
Let me just give the audience an idea of what this is.
Well, hold on, real quick. Time out. If you're listening to this show and you have not watched Stranger Things, stop listening to this show because we are going to spoil the crap out of this right now.
Go watch it in one sitting and come back and listen again. Yeah.
We should at least give it a genre and an idea of what they're expecting. Because as all you guys have said so far is, it's like a combination of the Goonies and... No.
Which doesn't sell it at all.
Okay, it's about these kids who go through stuff, blah, 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 yes, but it is horror mixed with mystery, mixed with sci-fi, mixed with 80s. Like straight up, legit, this is how 80s looks, 80s. Like...
Yeah.
Oh my God!
And just the kids riding their bikes made me want to be a kid in the 80s.
Right?
It was like when I was watching what's that movie with the alien that touched fingers and said "Go home"? E.T. There we go. It was like
the most popular alien in the history of film.
Which is the start of like half the movies out there nowadays.
It had that feel of like I'm watching E.T. again. Like what the hell is this?
No, that's something that I wrote down is like the show wanted you to have the 80s vibe, and they nailed it right off the first episode. They kind of
the music,
it's like they did it like effortlessly, because every time you'd see something, you're like, oh my God, this is like Goonies, or oh my God, this is like E.T., or oh my God, this is like, and you could relate to so many films into this show, and the show had nothing to do with what any of those shows were about, or any of those movies were about. But
there were 80s characters. There were like just the like I mean the kid with the lisp.
Oh yeah,
what he said he had.
The fat kid who likes the older sister of his friend. Very stereotypical.
That's so classic.
Very classic.
it's not classic in a way like that's old. It's like
Classic.
it's nostalgia.
Yes,
it's like
yes.
it's just awesome.
I was that boy, not with the lisp, not that chubby, but I was that boy. Oh, my friend's older sister is super cute, and I got nothing.
Here's some pizza, chick.
But I wanted to say, like, before we get, because I want to hear your 8 pages of notes. I can't wait. So I'm gonna let you go last. I want me and
So
Phil.
are we officially saying spoiler alert? And
so this is actually
I was literally, this show, watch it in one sitting.
I was gonna bring that. I was gonna say now I'm gonna go. I'm guessing we're all gonna go into some areas that mean you've either watched the show, or you haven't and you want to pause the show.
We're gonna spoil the hell out of it.
And spoil the living daylights out of it.
Yes.
But this show was okay. So literally, if you have not watched the show, please
give him a 3-second countdown. Give him a 3-second countdown.
Here you go. I am going to start talking about Stranger Things in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, now.
Aliens. I'm sorry.
So there was just so much about because I'm a fan of it because of the supernatural. Not even supernatural. It wasn't supernatural. It was a parallel universe that they called the Upside Down, which I thought was very creative.
Yeah.
Because it was here. It was right here where you and I are sitting, except it wasn't here. It was on this different. It was on this different plane of existence that still existed, but there was no door to get there until this little girl, had been messed up enough where, with experiments that all of a sudden this asshole scientist was like, all right, well, I know this is hard for you, but why don't you go see what that guy's talking about? Why don't you go give him a poke? And right when she touches him, that's when all of it happens. And I thought that was...
So my understanding of that, what you're talking about is it was actually her psychic energy that created the force to open up the worlds.
Yep.
And it was only because of the pain and the fear that she experienced when she actually met.
She was isolated. She was completely isolated. She had this fear. She was in complete blackness, and all she could see was this little thing on the other side. But that other side happened to be the one. Well,
the Upside Down.
See, and what we know is it's the one creature living there. But what we forget, or what you may not have caught, is if you rewatch the show, or if you've watched YouTube videos or whatever. I've watched the show like 3 times now. I'm not even kidding. But there's a bunch of eggs throughout, kind of like the eggs from the movie Alien.
And when did Alien come out?
Yeah, I mean,
in the 80s.
No, Alien came out in the late 70s, actually. But
yeah, that was my dad's favorite movie because that was the first time he saw a naked woman was in that show.
But I want to
Sigourney Weaver.
Do you remember that scene where the sadly, amazingly friendly and sweet fat chick got
Barb.
taken? Yeah, Barb.
Dude,
of course she's gonna die.
She was expendable. I'm sorry, but the way they wrote her character,
she was screwed the moment she was friends with that girl.
Not to say that actual humans are expendable, but they were. When
for the story,
when I realized that when that little boy got taken in the first episode, I was like, no, that little boy's so cool. Why would they take that little boy? Now, when she got taken, I'm like, okay, but is the little boy still alive?
Yeah. So let's look at it like this. Look at it like this.
I thought he was dead.
Well, if we're gonna talk about it like in that order, I'm gonna chime in as well. So the first episode, like right off the bat, the Dungeon and Dragon scene,
very
fantastic.
Yes.
Because
and then they tied that into the whole thing.
How that was
awesome.
You don't even know that they're foreshadowing. Like they're legitimately foreshadowing the whole show.
That was a great
foreshadow.
That was great. That was the best not the best, but
the demigod
was a very good,
or demigod.
Yeah.
No, they had a bunch of something a tree. Oh God, I'm blanking on words right now. There were a bunch of signs that pointed to this is this and this is this. What is that? Whatever. Yes, that game alone was like. Yeah, foreshadowing, I guess you could say. It's not what but yeah, it was.
So I'll just read some of my notes for that first episode, like leading into what we're talking about. First of all, Winona Ryder looks fantastic.
Yeah, I'm surprised, dude. She looks the way she did in Mr. Deeds. Yes. I was like, all right, cool.
Yes.
Thanks.
I wrote down Erdman looks like Steve.
Wait, I'm okay with that. The older brother?
No, Steve. That's Jonathan. Steve was the douche boyfriend.
Who became not douche. So
became not douche.
He doesn't. You know who Steve reminded me of? It Parks and Recreation, the loser friend of the Indian guy. But Anthony doesn't have that curly hair or that small of a chin. So I just in defense of Anthony.
or that big of a black eye.
Yeah, that's true.
Yet.
I've never gotten a black eye. Actually.
I definitely much preferred the guy who gave him the black eye over that.
Dude, yeah.
Right off the bat, Chief Hopper, favorite character of the show.
Oh, thank you
Period.
so much.
Chief Hopper is my
I
favorite character
identify
of the
with
show.
Chief Hopper. He's my favorite.
Did anyone else get the impression? I was telling this to you, Irish, when we first started talking about it, but when the show first started off in the very first episode, I got this strong impression after the first episode. I was like, oh man, this guy's gonna be an asshole.
He would be the guy who he'd be
the guy who screws everything up, and he'd probably die in the fourth episode.
They set him up to be the alcoholic police officer.
But then you find out about how he lost a daughter, and all of a sudden he's like this guy who all he cares about is finding this kid, and he starts believing crazy stuff out of Winona Ryder's mouth, and all of a sudden they find out it's real, and
dude.
As a human being, to think that kind of person is in charge of is being paid to take care of problems, your personal problems. I'd much rather have that than the other characters you see in cop specific shows. I really liked that his character said
they kept it real.
He's going to do what he knows is right, and he's not going to, this guy told me I can't do that, so I'm going to have to fill out this paperwork. No, he just gets it done. He
punched through probably 15 guys in that whole freaking show.
Yeah, so it's a good thing they set him up to be a pretty big guy, because he's definitely 250 at least.
Well, they hit a couple of things with his character, he had his own backstory, and you don't really hear the details about it until the search party scene.
Yeah, remember the teacher is talking to him?
Yeah, and kind of gets it all out there and stuff. And by the way, Mr. Clark is a beast. He's a beast. I loved
Which one is Mr. Clark?
He was the teacher they kept calling, hey, how do you make a cryogenic tank?
Their science teacher.
Oh,
yeah. Every kid needs a teacher who's that dedicated. They can call him in the middle of the night.
Well, he was the one that put the kind of the idea of what that upside down is, and where he drew it on the paper, and then he folded it and he poked a hole through it, and it was if you didn't understand what was going on, it kind of put a little perspective there. And right off the bat, I got the idea of it could be another dimension, but as far as what it resembled, it almost looked like limbo, what people describe as limbo, between heaven and hell.
The way they depicted
I hate to break it to you, but it is another dimension.
Well, no, I know it is. I'm saying the feel of it was death, but not death. And then when they quote found Will's body in that river, I was or in that quarry, I was oh my God, is it limbo? Did he die and then is the creature a death creature or something like that?
Alive at that point.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know he's still alive. We know that he's still communicating at that point. So that really left it open. Where is this?
Is he a ghost?
Is this heaven or something? Or is this where is this communication coming?
See, what kind of prevented me from so limbo is actually a very interesting way to put it, because even what I'm about to say could still prove that that's true. Mm-hmm. But what kind of kept me from believing, I knew he wasn't dead. I guess that's the best way to put it. I knew he wasn't dead because he said, well, first of all, I think she asked at one point to the lights, when she had all the lights up, are you alive? And he said yes. Mm-hmm. And then she said, are you safe? He said no. And then she says, where are you? And I love that
he says, I'm
here.
Yeah, right here.
I'm here. And I love
I'm right here,
that
I wrote that down. I wrote down exactly her questions and the responses.
Right
here. Did I have it right?
Hold on.
I think he's right. He said, I am right here.
No, I think he just I don't know if he said right here.
His responses were really, really short because
I think it was just here.
He's working with the alphabet.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to touch on that while you look up your notes.
Well, hang on.
I wanted to touch on the fact, if you were a mother and you lost your child.
Oh my God, yeah.
What she went through,
would you not do the same thing?
You think she's crazy, right? But if you lose your child, you will do that. You will, if you think there's a chance that he's talking to you through the lights, you're going to set that same thing up.
Just about anything I saw.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kudos to the realism of the show. Like,
Yep.
anyone who's a parent will say, like, I would do that too. If I thought for a second my kid was talking to me through the lights, I would go get some Christmas lights and set up
Yeah.
ABCs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what I was going to say was what I thought was so interesting is the way that they set up. I think I said this before the podcast started, so I don't think I'm repeating. Yeah, yeah. I love the fact that what they did with this parallel universe, which I guess isn't unusual for when that aspect of sci-fi is brought in. They really brought such a close to home, like, a parallel universe is this universe but in another plane of existence. So yes, Earth would be right where Earth is, but it's a different Earth, blah blah blah. But they really brought it to you with when the walls started going black, and like,
Yeah.
then that stuff started growing or grew out, and like, just, it was so cool to see, like, wow, this is right here. This is like, I mean, the thing is coming out of my wall because he is right there. He might not be here in this plane, but he is standing 2 feet away from me, trying to punch through to my reality.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so amazing.
I like how they set up how the world transitions. How the world opens, and it doesn't quite make sense to me because at first we see, and maybe you guys can explain this. At first we see that she created the original opening with her psychic power, but somehow this beast is able to almost create openings just because he sees something that he wants to get to,
I was
or
gonna touch on
hears.
that. So let me give my theory, because obviously there was no clear answers. So I think she opened up the door, and he came through that door and then discovered ways to get back. Obviously, he has the capability of opening and closing. I
mean, he's
also
got to be
think
somewhat powerful because she was
that,
able to
and I was
hear him.
gonna say that, yeah.
He has limitations, but I agree. I agree with Irish's theory, quote unquote, because I've done a lot of research, and that's the very common one. Is once she touched him, the minute that she poked him, that was the door opening, and so in a sense,
the door is between them.
I don't agree with that part. I don't think that was the case. I think she touched him, and because of her abilities, he felt it, and he was reacting to the feeling of being touched. He couldn't. I don't think he saw her.
Maybe
look at it like this, because you remember before she saw him, she was like right up on a Russian dude, and he was just yakking, and she was right up on him. But I mean, if she would have touched his hand, I'm sure he would have been like, "The heck was that?" But I think because it's not a human being, it's not a being per se, it's a monster. She poked it, and it reacted to the poke, turning around, preparing to, four lip slap a dude.
Oh yeah, opening up like the alien egg and swallowing it.
So,
well, to say that a monster isn't a being is, I mean, it's its own being. Like,
well, I'm saying, like, it's not human-esque. It has a human-looking body, but it wasn't. It's it's more of an animal than a human.
Yeah.
So, it gets poked and it reacts to that, and I think it doesn't see anything, and her fear of it. I mean, we obviously learned from the show that being in that tank, like, heightened and amplified her abilities to unbelievable moments. So her fear and her screaming.
And that tank was a real thing, believe it or not.
It is. I forget what they call it, but it's when the water temperature is exactly the same as body temperature. So it's 98.6.
It was like
it's about just,
and you're floating in nothing.
You feel nothing. You're literally weightless, and you don't feel cold or hot. And it's a meditation chamber or something like that. Yeah,
it's something like that. I do want to say, I love. Okay, I'm not sure if this was intentional or not. You'd have to ask the writers, directors, whatever. But the amount of connections between this specific species of creature and the alien from Alien. Do you remember the cockroaches that came out of Barb's dead body, or possibly dead body, we should say, because I'm thinking.
Oh no, she's dead. She's dead.
No.
Dude, half of her body was eaten.
Hold on. I'm not saying dead, not dead as in alive. I'm saying, I think she's being used to create an alien. Or being So
they looked like slugs more than than cockroaches. You look
Sorry,
like
I meant slugs,
slimy
dude. I don't know
slugs.
why I
Yeah.
said cockroaches.
You're
You're
all right.
right.
You're all right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
So at the very last scene of the episode, God, I hope no one is listening to this who hasn't watched it. But when that boy walks, what's his name again?
Will.
Will. When Will goes in the bathroom
And
he has
spits.
this flash of the upside down, and all of a sudden he coughs up a slug. That slug, I believe, is actually there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why this thing is going to continue on. I think those quote-unquote slugs are, say, what somehow become
The creatures.
that being that was in the parallel universe, or the upside down.
I agree. I
Well,
also wanted to say that I got the feeling, and I might be totally off here, I got the feeling that that creature that they experienced in the Upside Down, that he was actually, or she, we don't know,
Yeah,
that I felt like they were adolescent.
Possibly.
Really?
I don't feel like it was a fully grown one, and I think like that might be something that comes up. One of the things I love about the show is that where they leave it, those characters can literally just walk away and the show can continue, like maybe when that kid's in college, or you know, there's so much.
What was the sheriff's name?
Hopper.
Hopper.
There's so much that
there's
can
a couple of
develop
things
in
that
the next
happen
season
in the show that obviously don't get explained because it's a cliffhanger-ish. You know, when they drop Will off at the hospital, Hopper leaves the hospital and he gets picked up. I've been calling them the agency. You know, the suits basically.
Not a bad name.
The energy department.
Oh yeah, dude, I have names for all of them, by the way. The three kids and Elle, I call them the crew.
The crew.
And then I've called,
I like that.
when Winona, Hopper, Jonathan are together, I call them the gang, and that way I can just differentiate them in my mind of like who's with them. And
would have gotten away with it if it was.
Well, the crew's with the gang right now, but they're about to solve this
exactly.
thing
Well,
with
that's
the
what I'm saying. Like in my notes,
Yeah.
you'll see I'm like crew and gang coming together, and then parentheses, hell yeah. Like, and so the moment. There's one moment in my notes. If you guys, it's worth like I sent pictures to Urban of like the first 3 episodes, but I have the rest that I have to send. So the moment that he stabs that fake body, my wife couldn't watch it obviously because you know we have children.
Imagine if he was wrong though.
Oh my God, yeah, that's what she was. So 2 things when he first got in there,
that's why that man.
His reaction made me think, like, oh snap! But when he pulled his knife back out, I was fully anticipating seeing like an alien colorish blood.
Me too.
Almost like they morphed, like, or like because at that time he still didn't know anything about the creature. So I'm like, did they make this thing? And
I actually thought I was gonna see I thought when he started pulling stuff out, I was gonna see like fake innards.
Yeah.
You know, like they had actually tried to make them look real, but it was obviously like it's red still or something.
It's
you know,
the '80s. They figured out the mold. They just couldn't figure out the inside. So no,
Yeah,
he
so
started
they
pulling out
just
stuffing,
stuffed a
and my
human
notes like described the scene, and then in parentheses, I was like, effing seriously?
stuff like who's gonna create a fake body and actually fill it with stuff? Like if you're gonna
dress
go that far.
it and then throw it in a quarry, like. Somebody was responsible for that, and like, oh my God, the Hopper scenes when he's trying to get information, he's like beating the mess out of some dude behind a bar, and then the guy like looks over, sees a car, and he looks back, he goes, "Who was that? Who was that? Why are they looking at me?" And he pulls out his gun and just starts aiming at him. I'm like, whoa, Hopper,
So
chill.
Does anyone want to comment on the
There's some crazy shit going on
very
though, like
last scene where Hopper walks up? So we all know Eleven's dead.
Elle's totally alive.
Yeah, 11's alive, and I loved that scene. It was so like sweet because he goes to this box in the middle of the forest and he gives her what? Her favorite food, which
Eggo
is
waffles.
Eggo waffles. Yeah.
That scene, by the way, I thought was
feel
huge
like
for her.
she banished herself to the.
I don't think she's. I don't think
she's gone, man.
I think she's in the Upside Down. I think she's in there.
Yeah.
To try and hold other things back, but it's all speculation at this point.
Yeah.
Here's 2 things that I think are gonna get brought. Well, let me talk about the actual season we're on right now. So there was the scene where she goes into the store and just starts taking waffles. I thought that, to me personally, I felt like that was a scene where she's owning who she is, owning her powers, and being like, you know what? Like when she looks at that dude and she's like, mouth breather, and then takes the Eggos and just dips. I'm like, yes, dude. Like she has arrived. Like it was that moment. That was a kind of a foreshadowing moment where she took control of the situation and was like, I'm not gonna starve. This is stupid. You know, if they come at me, I'll just and they're gone.
And
And she like walks away and slams the doors in the dude's face. And it was it kind of, you see it again at the end of the show when she steps, which by the way, I have proof. Urban, you can look at my notes at the bottom of my first episode notes. I put L versus Alien because I didn't know if it was what it was at the time.
Huh.
But I put that out there, like, I hope this happens. And at the end of the scene, there it is. It's, boom, boom. And I love the way they did it, where it made it look like the kid's slingshot did the damage. And, it turns out she...
Yeah, I like that too. I'm like, holy shit, what was that rock? I was like, was it that rock they picked up and it had some magical powers?
He rolled a 12, man. He rolled a 12. He got full damage. I mean, come on.
That'd have been great if they ran out of rocks and the only thing they had was that dice.
He did roll a 12.
No, but I was
good.
I would like to know, like, they'll probably never talk about it, but I'd like to know if she controlled the rock or if she controlled the creature.
That's a good point. I mean, that's like that's too specific. I doubt they'll ever.
I think if you rewatch it,
that's a cool thought, though.
I think if you rewatch it, you might agree that it wasn't the rock. The rock was there just to give you that emotional thing, like, oh my god, did this kid really just somehow... But no, I think
that was a good rock
her nose was bleeding, she was holding back the creature, and then that's what I believe, and if you watch it again, you might find that you feel the same way. I think the rock was just there to signify that, oh my god, these kids are totally about to get their asses... They're about to die, dude. Yeah. They're about to get killed.
The way I interpreted it was that she came... she reacted at just the right moment.
Exactly.
And it looked as if the rock was doing it. That's how I interpreted it.
But then they turned around and they were like, oh my god, 11 is back. Or L. Sorry, L.
Well, I mean, technically her name is
11.
Technically her name is Jane.
What?
Really?
Yeah, she's the daughter that got taken.
That's right.
Well, no, she's the fake daughter. She's not actually...
No, she is the daughter of Tamara Ives, or Tanya Ives.
Who named her Jane?
Her name is Jane.
That's still under speculation.
No, that's her.
Wasn't it?
No, that's
I mean, we can say it's speculation, but
I
mean, I feel like it was pretty obvious.
Watch the episode again when they're talking to her sister, because I can't remember. Ives is her last name. The woman doesn't speak anymore.
Yeah.
So her sister was like, yeah, she was going on and on about them taking her baby and that the baby was special. It had powers. And then Hopper goes, like, what? What powers? And she was like, telekinesis, mind control stuff,
Anthony's right, though. They haven't actually proven
I mean,
I
don't know. I just
they haven't come out and said it yet, but I mean, like, they left it on the table, like, dude.
Dude, I'm so used to shows ending up showing you that they were just crazy, but there is something else going on that, I don't know. I was just skeptical.
Well, anyway.
But you could be right, yeah.
Something I was talking about for the future was...
to be one of those.
Something for the future was... First of all, that scene where Will kind of flashes in and out, I genuinely believe that by season 2, he's going to learn to control that. I think that's a power.
Control it or be infected?
No. I think he's fine. But I think that presence of that creature...
I think he's going to be a positive character, not an infected character.
I'm saying, I think that the presence of that thing in his body gave him the capability that the creature had of coming in and out.
Oh,
so I'm thinking in season 2 he's going to be able to control.
That's cool.
He's going to figure out how to control that, and that's why I don't think Elle is dead, because I think because when she did the thing on the wall, I think she has the ability that if another being has powers, she can take them. So I think she's doing what the creature did, which is like boom and go out. I think her powers have, like, we've just hit the tip of the iceberg.
I think she was able to
I would like to see more. I don't think
she took that power. I think she gained that power, and now she has that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she can now do it. That's why you didn't see her at the end. I think she can come in and out.
She can read a mind like and then learn how to learn how to do those tricks. Like I could learn how to fix a car by reading a book, right? So no, I can't, because I haven't read that book. But what I'm saying is she did.
What's a book?
What are bud?
Nice.
No, the show.
I wanted to say this whole time that I felt like I saw a connection to like fairy world, like the Upside Down is like the same connection to like the old school thought of fairy world and like Celtic lore, not necessarily other things. But I drew that connection when they first started talking about the Upside Down.
Well,
but, I mean, it's kind
such
of off
a
topic.
weird realm. Like when they're in there, like their voices are echoed. Like there's that floaty crap all over the place. but it's like these there's other than the creature, there's other things going on there. Like whatever they yanked out of Will's mouth, that was a thing. That was
Yeah.
another creature. And then
Yeah.
obviously the slugs, and it almost makes you wonder, was the creature that was causing all the chaos, was that even like the big dog? You know what I
That's
mean?
what I meant. It
Like,
seemed adolescent. It did not seem like an out. It didn't seem like it had control over
Can
its
we
universe.
can we all agree that that thing looked so badass?
That was
Like,
really
yeah.
good graphics for a
Oh
TV
my
show.
god! But just
Oh,
the
yeah.
design of the creature itself, like
The like
almost
flower face.
it almost
What
looked
was that?
humanoid.
Yeah.
Until it turned around and opened its face up at you, and
Yeah.
it's just like,
Well, like,
I'm leaving. Bye.
I love the scene where Jonathan and Nancy like try to trap him in the bear trap,
Uh-huh.
and like Steve comes in with the bat after being like a big puss, and then
He
comes in
didn't
with
come
the
in
bat
with
and
the
just
bat. He just came
he
in and
goes,
picked up the
well, no,
bat.
he well then he goes like, professional baseball, like he spun the bat around and hit it again, and then like it was beautiful.
You know,
the
I
way
gotta be
he
honest. I
came
hated
back
that
in.
character. Like, I can't believe the way it ended. Like, her still being with him.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
mean
mean,
that's another sign
He
that there's
wasn't
going to be another
terrible.
season.
exactly
Maybe he
that
became the better guy, but
well, I mean, you remember he wiped off the Nancy's a slut off the
yeah. Well, and he dropped his loser friends who were being assholes. I mean, yeah.
He did kind of he had some good character development. He had a good arch, but I think that scene, like everyone feels that. You're not the only one who feels that watching that show, and I think that's because it's kind of inevitable that like that's going to be one of the things that when they wrap up all the seasons all together, that girl ends up with the guy you think she should end up with.
Well,
Yeah, because I liked God, the brother's name. Oh,
Jonathan.
God. Jonathan. I liked him a lot. Like, he was this quiet, but then when it mattered, he was like all.
Can we were just talking about how he went professional baseball on that beast, but then when they told him you need to go, he didn't all of a sudden like man up and say no, I'm staying, I'm gonna help. He got in his car and he left. Okay, and that's probably why we're all thinking like he's not, like, why is she still with him? Because he saw some crazy shit and he ran. And he didn't say no, you need to come with me. He said, yeah, okay, I'll leave.
Well,
he
that
ran.
was the funny. Like when he first got there, he's like, "Did he do this?" Like he was getting all tough guy, and then all of a sudden this thing comes out out of the ceiling, and he like loses it, and I'm just like, "Oh my god!" Like okay, so the scene when they're in the bedroom and they're behind the door and they're waiting for it to come through, and it actually just leaves. It doesn't. It kind of catches on that it's trying to be trapped.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping so badly because the way the camera angle was working, it was focusing on Jonathan and Nancy with Steve kind of blurry in the background. I was hoping so badly that thing would just come through the roof and yank him through.
The background, yeah.
Oh my god!
But because that didn't happen, you're gonna be happier like in season 8 or let's hope.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
right?
Steve will develop into a really good character.
Stand-up guy.
But I mean, I'll say that I'll defend him in this aspect. And by the way, all my notes, 8 pages, I don't talk about that dumb high school relationship crap at all.
Yeah, that
is filler, so that they can push this show out to 8 episodes. Like that's all it is.
It's also to pull in an audience of high
the
schoolers.
The girls. It's
the girls. It's true.
High school
girls,
ladies. It's
I'll
true.
say this, as far as like a connection standpoint with him and Nancy, like there were moments there where you're like, oh, I guess Steve's not too big.
Yeah,
He almost has a Mark Ruffalo feel to him. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah.
Wait.
But
Who's Mark Ruffalo?
like
The guy who plays the Hulk.
Like he'll make somebody a happy wife or whatever,
Well,
but
that was another scene that like I loved, was the moment they're in the woods, Nancy and Jonathan are, and she's like, what shocking, how dare I think that you're more than just some pervert with a camera, and he's like, how dare I think that you're someone who's not going to be, another prototypical nuclear family wife who marries her high school sweetheart and ends up having kids and just, stays in the relationship because it's easier. I'm just like, Jonathan just laid the
that
pipe.
character had some good insights. I agree.
It was. I mean, and she even talks about it before he makes that comment.
That's why he was able. That's why it's.
That's why. Yeah. And she talks about her mom and dad, how she's like, I don't think they've been in love for a long time, and because back then in the 80s, man, I've talked to plenty of my own family members, they'll attest to that, man. Back then, if you got married and had kids, you just stayed together. There was no, love was irrelevant back then, and that generation that came from that was like, I don't want to live that life. That sounds so horrible. And the show touches on it, and I love the variety of topics within the show, even though the show is about this sci-fi thing. Like
It's
you,
about
you
life too.
yeah, it's life in the 80s mixed with this sci-fi story, mixed with this like reminiscent feeling where you feel like, man, I didn't grow up in the
You know,
80s, but I miss the 80s. I was like, I was born in 90. Like what the
I got that feeling like imagine not having a cell phone all the time.
Right, that was
And
the
and it's
craziest
a
thing. Yeah.
relaxing feeling. It's a
Yeah.
relaxing feeling. I'm not going to get bugged, but I mean, when that Alien comes out, I'm sure all those characters want it, or Alien. You guys know what I mean.
Yeah, I
When
trust
the
me, all my
creature
notes
comes
Well, I
for
don't
like
want
out,
to call
4
it alien
episodes.
because it's not
it's
necessarily
not.
Well,
It's
no,
from
no.
another
planet.
dimension.
My all 4 pages of the first half of that, I called it Alien. I kept calling it Alien, and then all of a sudden I switched and started calling it Creature. Just like I didn't know what Winona Ryder's character's name was until the last episode.
Mom.
They say her name plenty of times. I miss
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then
Just call her
finally in the 8th
Mrs.
episode, they were like, "Where's Hopper?" And they were like, "Oh, she's with Joy." And I'm like, or he's with Joy. I'm like, "Oh, okay, her name's Joy." And then from like,
Just go
there's like,
back through my
well,
notes
no,
and
no,
write
there's
that
like
in.
2 little notes at the end of episode 8 where I'm like, Joy and Will are talking. So,
Capital, all
yeah,
caps,
yeah.
Joy.
And so no, it's just like for like literally most of my notes it says like Hopper and Winona. Like I just because I didn't feel like trying to listen for 3 letters.
It's funny.
But no, it's a I truly enjoyed the show in that it doesn't feel like it could have an ending. Like it could go on. There's so many things you can do.
Well,
Do you turn it into an apocalyptic show? Do you turn it into like
you could just go into the next dimension and make a whole show out of that.
oh my god, yeah. I mean,
Like, what if a couple of characters just went into the next dimension and had to survive there, and then they found another dimension? Like, when you open up a dimension in one show, then there's endless possibilities.
even bigger than that. Even bigger than that. Are there other dimensions?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Like
if they went into
yeah,
that next dimension and then opened up another,
yeah.
like, there's literally endless possibilities because we just watched a show
But they have
where
to be careful
they
with that
opened up
shit, man.
another
They
dimension.
can't make it because you'll eventually just turn it into
Then it's
Doctor
just
Who.
Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got to be careful with that because it's like
No,
if
I'm
you're gonna
just
do it,
saying
yeah.
that there's those possibilities. I think it's
Yeah.
better if they stick within just the 2, but they could have
I'd
like
be
a
willing
whole
to
season.
I'd be willing to throw a 3rd in there if it's just temporary, like maybe for a couple
Yeah,
episodes or something where like maybe they meet themselves. You know what I mean?
that
Come on, guys. You're getting way too
that's too
abstract
much.
right now. I don't like that. I like the fact that they need to focus on this one specific, very strange, unknown universe that I think there's plenty of development to have there. That's what a good show is about.
That's what I'm saying. Like there
building
could be
on.
like maybe season 3. There's some of the main characters, including Elle and Will, are like stuck in that dimension and surviving, like camping out, in that dimension. Like that would be cool. But I agree. Like going into multiple dimensions that's a whole nother thing. That's not what I want to see from this show. But
Well, let me say real quick, just a quick shout out to the guys who directed and wrote this show. Is the Duffer Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
They have a feature film called Hidden from 2015, but also they wrote 4 episodes of Wayward Pines.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, so
I love that show.
And you kind of get you kind of feel it in the show a little bit. You're like, because it's horror, drama,
kind of eeriness.
Yeah. And I as far as like the feel of the show, you kind of can see the connections between it of like how Wayward Pines, you had this mystery the whole time of what is this town, etc., etc. And with this, it's like, where's the kid? What was that thing? And then obviously you go further and you realize what's going on. But
well, and you essentially don't get anything until the last step. I mean, you don't get a real grasp.
You get bits and pieces.
Exactly.
Like bits and pieces through the whole, and it's just enough.
I had to figure out that Will wasn't gone forever. That's like what got me. That's why I had to watch it in one sitting.
Dude, I said at one point, I just figured when I saw Barb die, I was like, all right, well, this kid is dead.
That was probably the most gruesome.
And when I saw Barb die, I was like, oh shit, does that mean Will's dead?
Yeah.
I have a little bit of an issue. Like obviously it's nitpicking at this point. I mean when your show is that good that I have to the only thing I could say negatively is like how you handled one thing. Like your show's amazing. So let me just preface that. But the whole Barb scene when she's bleeding.
The
and
pool or underground?
The pool.
Okay.
So when she's like sitting there, and then all of a sudden, she's in the other thing. I was at first I was like, oh crap. All right, well, they're not gonna explain what happened here. And then all of a sudden they're showing her in this other realm, like sitting in the same pool, and you're just like, what the hell is this place? And then the only problem I had was they spent like 15 seconds of her just running around the pool.
Like an idiot.
Like
By the way,
screaming.
can I just say one thing to make me sound like an idiot, which
Thank
I'm sure will be great for you. But I didn't realize that it was the pool in the other universe.
I mean, she climbs up on like the ladder of the pool, and you're just like, wait, that's a pool. Oh my gosh.
I was more focused when I first watched it. I was not even paying attention to the surroundings because I still wasn't really realizing that there is here just in a different there,
Yeah.
And so I didn't even notice that. So that's a really good point. Like when she's running around freaking out, she's just running around the pool.
Well, I'm saying, but my beef with that is, what is the creature doing in that moment?
See, no, that's
just
what,
standing there.
No. That goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's kind of like the alien from Alien. They take and not necessarily kill and eat, but they're using the bodies to create more, these slugs.
He means during the chase. Like what?
I'm saying, like, she's running
is he
around
just
the pool.
watching her run around the pool, like
I wish they would
entertaining himself?
I wish they would have shown that. I would have been so happy. Or like
just like twiddling his fingers.
Yeah, no. Even better than that is she's running around the pool and he's just sitting on the edge of the pool, like kicking his feet back and forth. Like, I'll wait.
Yeah,
you tire yourself out.
Hey, it's easier to catch non-moving food than it is to catch moving food.
Yeah, and you're a big and you'll get tired here in a second. Yeah.
Your name's Barb. You were meant to die. All right.
Oh my god! But no, I felt bad for her, man, because I was like, oh,
well,
dude.
She was a good friend. Like she's
a good character, and it was
sweet character.
I will say, when they revealed her death, like, you kind of felt it, like, yeah, there's no way.
You wanted them both to be saved, yeah.
Like when Elle was in her, I guess we'll call it like a thought realm, and she saw it, you just were like, oh my god, what a horrible way to go, because like you could see like half of her right side was like eaten up. And then, like, obviously her face, and then the slug came out of her mouth, looked like her tongue.
Yeah, like, I had to rewind that the very first time I watched it, because I thought her tongue was bugging out.
Yeah.
Like a blacked tongue was.
I'm like,
just
if
like,
you're dead, I'm pretty sure your tongue doesn't come out. Like, but no, it was a sad moment, because definitely she's, obviously Elle's English and communication skills isn't all there as far as from an English standpoint. So of course she says gone. And you kind of they pan to Nancy, and you feel that pit for her, because to be honest, it's her fucking fault.
One thing that got me is we see like one scene where there's they say Barb's missing to the mother of Barb.
Yeah.
And then after that, no one seems to be looking for Barb. Everybody's worried about Will.
No. There's
even their mother doesn't seem to care about Barb.
No. Oh! I just realized why. If you remember, they took over the investigation. The state troopers who are being paid by the agency.
They said she ran away.
They took over. They moved her car to the bus stop, from Steve's house to the bus stop. Like, they went out of their way to make it a runaway case. And it was the state troopers who were paid by the agency. They did the same thing with the quarry, where they, quote, found Will's body or put it there, and then, and the guy says, he's like, make sure nobody gets close to the body, to obviously let him know, and
that's exactly why Hopper was like, I gotta get close to this body.
Dude. And like even the scenes when he started like bugging out, like after he had gotten in there and seen the opening, and he wakes back up in his own house, which another thing, I'm just like, why would they not kill him? They shot the dude at the restaurant.
Oh,
why
yeah,
wouldn't they kill
I hated
Hopper?
that, by the way. I love that guy, and they killed him so easily.
I just don't get why. Like, they killed
why would
him,
they? Maybe because it's like,
but
what
Hopper,
if the sheriff dies,
into their building.
Then you've got the kind of attention you don't want on the town. Maybe that's my only...
That's true.
Reason. Like, if a sheriff dies, that's a big deal. We got to elect a new sheriff. All this stuff needs to happen, and you're going to have the whole state looking on, not just these fake state troopers or whatever that are involved.
So guys, Guess what time it is?
Yeah, it's been over an hour.
No, I mean, that's so great. I mean, we could literally continue going on and on and on and on about this, but I think we might want to wrap it up.